5 lifetimes of reincarnation. We 4 female immortals of Qinglan Mountain, like fish on a chopping board, going to our deaths again and again, but not even knowing who he seeks, still clueless. I, Lin Ruowei, second senior sister of Qinglan Mountain, have lived 5 lives, each life's end ruined by the same man, the Xuan Emperor of the 9 heavens. First life, to marry him, the senior sister reforged her spiritual root, forcibly contracted the 9-tailed spirit fox, and was banished by him to the desolate demon realm. Just one word, not her. Second life, the third junior sister used a secret art to alter the master mark, but her spiritual veins were shattered by him. Still the same, not her. Third life, the youngest junior sister fed the spirit pet with heart blood. 3 months later, a critical strike shattered by heavenly thunder. He sneered, even less her. The fourth life. The 3 were terrified, and rushed back overnight to bring me from my training. The moment my fingertip touched that snow-white spirit fox, the contract runes suddenly lit up. But the instant Xuan Emperor stepped into the courtyard, the immortal slaying blade pierced my heart. He roared, how can it still not be her? This life, Xuan Emperor's attendant came bearing a brocade box, again. He said with certainty, at the Jade Pool Feast 300 years ago, the spirit fox sensed the Empress's aura on the 4 of us. He told us to try one by one. The senior sister stepped back repeatedly, saying she had been weak since childhood, couldn't bear the spiritual energy. The third junior sister's smile was worse than crying, saying outright that the Emperor would not favor her. The youngest junior sister also quickly waved her hand, claiming her spiritual root was thin and mixed, afraid to defile the divine beast's keen eyes. In that instant, all eyes were fixed on me, all with meaningful smiles. They brought up the Jade Pool Feast 300 years ago, the fleeting glance between me and Xuan Emperor. Between the lines, they said the spirit pet's recognition could only be me, but only I knew how painful the horrible deaths of past lives were. Xuan Emperor and I had a secret immortal bond. He had promised to make me his Dao partner. This spirit fox was clearly refined according to my spiritual aura. I thought if I broke free of resistance, let the fox recognize me as master, then hardships would end in sweetness. But on the wedding night, the moment he saw my face clearly, the tenderness in his eyes shattered. The immortal slaying blade pierced my spiritual veins. He roared, how dare you impersonate her? The agony of soul destruction is still unforgettable. I really can't figure out, if he's not looking for me, who else could it be? The attendant set down the box and vanished in a flash of light, leaving behind that 9-tailed spirit fox radiating primordial energy. In our eyes, he was no ancient divine beast, but a death warrant. The rare case of sisters who had fought for a century actually pulled me to sit and discuss. They took turns trying to contract it. The fox's reactions were cold each time. Only when I touched it would a faint light glow around it. Though it didn't recognize me as master, it was already much closer to me than to others. Junior sister broke down, slamming the table. She said if we can't deliver the recognized master by tomorrow, Xuan Emperor will surely kill us all. Seeing the sorrow on the 3 faces, a thought suddenly crossed my mind. The Yaoqi banquet must have a fairyland recording. Maybe we can find clues from it. To seek survival, we immediately rode clouds to the Lingxiao Hall. In the side pavilion, Junior sister pretended to be weak and obtained permission to access the recording. The scene in the mirror slowly emerged. Qinglan Mountain, due to the patriarch's passing, was placed in the most remote corner. Throughout the banquet, only the 4 of us sat there, with no one approaching. But just then, Xuan Emperor came riding auspicious clouds. When he walked to our seats, the spirit pet in his arms suddenly emitted a faint light. He paused in his steps and turned precisely toward us. On this table, a look of utmost indulgence appeared. He whispered a few words to the attendant. That smile now seen only made us feel a chill through our bodies. I stood there, my voice trembling. It seems the person he's looking for is indeed among us. If we hadn't carried the memories of the past 4 lives, we'd probably never solve this even to death. Junior sister trembled all over and asked him why he had to kill every time. I took a deep breath, and a bold idea surged in my mind. I want to go to the underground palace and find out for myself. Using the side door from past secret meetings, I easily slipped into the Emperor's bedchamber. He was startled at first, then politely asked me, why wouldn't you send word in advance? This familiar face before me and the figure from the previous life who madly severed my spiritual veins suddenly overlapped. I suppressed my fear, stepped forward, and asked who you want to marry. It's me, right? He paused, a trace of cunning flickering in his eyes. He pulled me into his arms and made me sit on his lap. Intimately, he said, of course it's you. The second senior sister of Qinglan Mountain. As long as you think it's you, then it's you. But I detected a flaw in his words. He never explicitly said that his heart belongs to me, until he cupped my face and kissed me on the forehead. I froze all over. The real Xuan Emperor knew that the scar on my forehead was most taboo for others to touch. In 100 years together, when he comforted me, he always only kissed my right hand. A crazy but reasonable truth suddenly emerged. I looked at him in disbelief, words unspoken. His fingertips had already lightly touched my lips. In his eyes suddenly a dangerous cold glint flashed. Have you said too much tonight? A quiet sense of drama surged in my heart. I hurriedly nodded and left quickly. Returning to the sect, Senior's sister and the other two were still waiting for me. Upon learning that I hadn't gotten an answer, despair instantly spread in their eyes. Junior's sister cried and said she wanted to flee to the demon realm. Third Junior's sister also agreed, but Senior's sister sternly rebuked, Xuan Emperor rules the 3 realms. There's no escaping. But I suddenly spoke up. We can't run away. Someone has to marry him. And it has to be me. All 3 were startled. Senior's sister said I was stubborn. Junior's sister even reminded me of the tragic fate I suffered in my past life. They all knew. If Senior's sister unleashed her spirit fox, she'd be banished to the wilds. Third sister would have her spiritual veins shattered. Junior's sister would have her cultivation foundation destroyed by heavenly lightning. And I would be consumed by 99 immortal fate pools, slowly perishing in the icy despair. But they didn't know. I had already found the Xuan Emperor's weakness. Holding the brocade box, I said in a low voice, knowing the road ahead was perilous, this is the only path to survival. Third sister asked gravely what I needed them to do. I dropped my gaze and said, I need you to attend the wedding as usual. Act like you know nothing. Junior's sister was hopping mad, but seeing my determined eyes, they all finally nodded. At that moment, these 3 lifelong rivals stood on the same side as me. I knew a game of life and death was about to begin on the wedding night. On the wedding day, the Xuan Emperor arrived with his attendant immortals, visiting Qinglan Mountain in person. Holding the 9-tailed spirit fox, I approached him, my gaze locked onto him. His eyes were gentle, filled with an overwhelming affection. Senior's sister and the others witnessing this even faltered a little. If they hadn't seen my tragic death in my past life with their own eyes, they might have believed his deep love. As the Xuan Emperor required, we both entered wearing immortal gauze. Before the assembly of immortal soldiers, he and I made our vows. He personally handed the spirit pet into my arms, saying in a gentle tone that this spirit pet had always belonged to me. The spirit pet pressed against my chest, unnervingly docile. Clearly, it had been custom bonded. The moment he lifted my veil, he gazed at me, my reflection the only thing in his eyes. Immortal music played outside the hall, and all the immortals praised the Xuan Emperor's devotion. But only I knew, this grand wedding was nothing but a carefully planned murder. In my past life, I didn't even attend the banquet before being taken straight to the bedchamber. Waiting for me was the cold blade of the immortal executioner. But this time, I was fully prepared. At the banquet, I changed into an immortal dress. I walked with the Xuan Emperor to the center of the hall. Raising my glass, Senior's sister sent a transmission talisman, asking in doubt if it was really true, if I hadn't lied to them. After all, the Xuan Emperor before them seemed so truly in love with me. I gave her a slight smile, without responding. I just looked up and took a sip of immortal wine, quietly waiting for nightfall. The grand wedding banquet came to an end. After all the immortals had left, I walked into the bedchamber alone. Inside lay a sharp blade, and next to it, cut spirit fruits. Exactly as in my past life, I sneered inwardly. In the past, he hid the weapon beneath a sheet of fine-spun spirit stone, extremely well concealed. I figured the bedchamber must hold several more blades, all meant to take my life. In the dead of night, the palace servants had long since wisely left. The palace door was gently pushed open. Emperor Xuan walked in. The moment he saw me, he instantly lost his mind. The love in his eyes was gone, leaving only insane rage. You are not her. Why did you marry into the palace in her place? Before the words faded, he grabbed the blade in the hall, roaring and thrusting it at me. I'll kill you. The blade was inches away. It seemed my past life's fate was repeating. But this time, I would not be a lamb to slaughter. Quick as a flash, from beneath the layers of gauze, I pulled out the scented powder I had prepared. I threw it hard into his face. He screamed and covered his face. Blinded, I seized the jade chair beside me and smashed it on his head with all my strength. Knocked him out cold. I couldn't kill him. If I killed him, I'd still be held accountable by the 3 realms. I had to capture him alive, to uncover the truth. Clumsily, I tied him to the jade bed. Watching him in a coma, my heart churned with complex emotions. He once held my hand with love, and transferred the imperial seal to me, giving me the confidence to stand in Qinglan Mountain. When I was unwell, he dropped everything to care for me. Those happy times weren't fake, but the betrayal and slaughter of my past life were so real, it tore me apart. After an unknown time, he slowly came to. Seeing the ropes binding his hands and feet, his eyes were full of pain. Ruawei, have you lost your mind? I thought you truly loved me. So you agreed to marry me. But you tied me up. His eyes reddened, and tears fell. His tone was sincere, as if I had really broken his heart. Did your sect, those 3 women, bewitch you? You know their temper best. Trust them completely, but not me? I looked at him coldly, a sneer curling at my lips. I picked up the blade from the floor, mimicking his earlier gesture, and advanced toward him. It made him flinch. You talk too much tonight, but do you really think I'm a fool? If you truly loved me and wanted to protect me, why were you screaming just now? She's not her. I stared into his eyes and pressed, who is her? A flicker of panic crossed Emperor Xuan's eyes. He licked his lips and claimed he was just joking. My heart belongs to you. Who else could it be? Before he finished, I suddenly raised the blade and drove it deep into his thigh. Accompanied by his screams, I showed a manic grin. No need to say more. I already know who she is. The person you're looking for simply doesn't exist. I gripped the hilt and pressed down hard until he screamed in pain. He smiled hideously, as if avenging the 4 of us who died unjustly in the past 4 lives. The Xuan Emperor is still putting up a brave front, claiming it was just a joke, but the panic in his eyes had already betrayed him. Just as I let go and prepared to search the bedchamber for evidence, a sudden movement came from behind me. The so-called Xuan Emperor had silently slipped his bonds. Dragging his bleeding leg, he crawled toward me step by step, leaving gruesome bloodstains on the carpet. I just realized and turned around when a chill ran down my neck. He lunged at me and wrapped the rope tightly around my neck. Just a member to kill time, and you dare to pull this on me? His voice dripped with venom, grinding his teeth. Today, I will kill you. A woman's strength against an enraged man is utterly insignificant. The rope tightened more and more. The agony of suffocation flooded my body. I kicked madly, flailing my arms. My nails dug into his arm, but he didn't react at all. Instead, he tightened it even tighter, nearly breaking my neck. He brought his face to my ear, his breath chillingly cold, making me tremble. You're a bit clever, aren't you? To actually be able to dig out my shocking secret from that non-existent lover of yours. Too bad, he chuckled lowly, his killing intent thick. Dare to touch my secret, and you don't deserve to live. I clenched my teeth tightly, the taste of blood spreading instantly in my mouth. My vision darkened, and my consciousness began to blur. Just as I was on the brink of death, with a loud crash, the bedchamber door was kicked open. 3 familiar figures rushed in. It was Senior Sister, Third Junior Sister, and Little Junior Sister. Little Junior Sister, leading, was quick and sharp. She grabbed a chair from the floor, mustering all her strength, and smashed it over Whitey's head. Senior Sister and Third Junior Sister followed closely, kicking and stomping him, scratching and clawing, showing no mercy. Until he was completely knocked out on the ground, they finally stopped. I covered my neck with both hands, my chest heaving violently, with the dying sensation of suffocation. It took me a while to force out my voice. I looked at them in surprise. You. How did you come? Third Junior Sister's brows were knitted tightly, her tone urgent and fierce. We used to squabble, fight over some resources, compare who lives better, at most annoy each other. We never had murderous intent. But this lunatic killed all 4 of us. Under these circumstances, how could we be at ease letting you bear it alone? Little Junior Sister's face showed a hint of awkwardness. She stubbornly said, "Don't get all emotional. It's just temporary mutual help. In the future, I'll still put chili powder in your bowl without hesitation." My eyes turned red, a warm current surged in my heart. Turns out, after a century of rivalry, through repeated life and death trials, we had forged an irreplaceable bond. Third Junior Sister proudly recounted how they broke in. Little Junior Sister played the innocent to gain sympathy. Third Junior Sister bluffed to intimidate. Senior Sister stepped forward, took responsibility. Each played their part. And they actually got through all the underground palace guards. Little Junior Sister changed the subject, pulled out knockout powder from her sleeve, and sprinkled it on the false emperor. Her tone was pressing. We're all in the same boat now. How long are you going to hide the truth? I looked up at the 3 Senior Sisters, a decade-long chill in my eyes. I spoke slowly, word by word. He is not the real Xuan Emperor. Once those words were spoken, the bedroom fell into dead silence. Senior Sister and the other 2 were stunned, staring at me blankly, then at the unconscious false emperor on the ground. Clearly, they couldn't believe this conclusion. Third Junior Sister was the first to react. She crouched down to examine the false emperor's face, her fingers tracing his skin, her brow furrowing deeper. This isn't a disguise mask. No trace of sorcery in his breath. It's natural skin and flesh. He is the master of Qinglan Mountain, renowned for disguise and transformation, the skill of reshaping bones and altering tales. He has never made a mistake. In other words, this person before us looks exactly like the Xuan Emperor. Even with spiritual perception, no flaw can be found. Little Junior Sister also crouched down, leaned in, and sniffed the false emperor. Her brow twisted. The unusual fragrance on him is exactly the same as the real emperor's. No trace of any mixed scents. Everyone's aura mark is different, even with the same rare fragrance. There are subtle deviations due to cultivation and nature, but this person's aura mark matches the real emperor's perfectly. There's no possibility of error. Ruowei, could you be mistaken? I shook my head firmly, suppressing the embarrassment in my heart, and slowly explained, "The Emperor and I have been in love for a century. He has always treated me with respect and affection. It's just that I have a scar on my forehead. I hate it when others touch it. So every time he comforts me, he would kiss my right hand. But a few days ago, when I sneaked into the underground palace to find him, the place where his lips landed when he comforted me was my taboo forehead. The mysterious Emperor has always been meticulous. In a century together, he has never made a single mistake. He would never do anything to upset me. This was the first flaw he revealed." Senior sister and the other two listened thoughtfully. Junior sister pressed, "Just based on that? Isn't that too rash?" I continued, "Of course not. When I trapped him with the immortal binding rope just now, he feigned heartbreak and asked, 'Do you want the Imperial Palace's ultimate treasure, or to hold power?' But these things, the real mysterious Emperor had already given them to me in private. He entrusted half of the underground palace's spiritual treasures to my care. Even the Emperor's seal was registered under my name. Whether treasure or power, I already held them all in my grasp. This is something that, except for me and the mysterious Emperor, no third person knows about. But he knew nothing of this. Isn't that enough to prove that he's a fake?" The three of them finally understood, their faces full of shock and lingering fear. Senior sister sighed softly. "No wonder we died horribly in the first 3 lifetimes. It turns out from the very beginning, the one we faced wasn't the real mysterious Emperor." Just then, the fake Emperor on the ground slowly came to. Just as he was about to roar and threaten, Junior sister kicked him. Her tone was icy. "Stop pretending. Tell us where the real mysterious Emperor is." The fake Emperor was stunned at first. Seeing the 4 of us surrounding him, and recalling the flaws he had just revealed, his face turned pale instantly. Knowing his identity was completely exposed, he struggled a few times, but was tightly bound by the immortal binding lock, unable to move. Third sister's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. She gathered spiritual power at her fingertips, feigning to strike. "There are plenty of ways to make you talk." The fake Emperor trembled in fear. Under our combined pressure of coercion and temptation, he finally gritted his teeth and spilled everything. It turns out the mysterious Emperor's bloodline was special. It contained great power, making him an easy target for dark cultivators. To protect the heir of the mysterious Emperor lineage, their family had for generations raised body doubles. From the moment the heir was born, their bones and spiritual veins would develop with age. Their appearance would change every 100 years. The family would, at each stage, find at least 10 cultivators whose spirit and appearance and aura were nearly identical to his, to serve as decoys, building layer upon layer of security to confuse the public, thus ensuring the true heir's safety. And this man on the ground was originally just one of the many decoys for the mystic Emperor. He had been sent into the underground palace since childhood to undergo rigorous training, imitating the mystic Emperor's words and deeds day after day, living in someone else's shadow. Over time, a craving for power and status grew wildly in his heart. He was unwilling to remain a decoy forever, and actually conceived a daring idea to kidnap the real mystic Emperor and replace him to become the true ruler of the 3 realms. No one would be wary of a decoy, seen as lowly and submissive. This disregard from everyone became his greatest advantage. He seized an opportunity when the mystic Emperor was alone and easily overpowered him, secretly imprisoning him. Relying on years of training, he perfectly imitated the mystic Emperor's words and deeds, and brazenly ascended the throne, enjoying the reverence of the 3 realms, believing he could coast through like this. But no matter how he calculated, he overlooked the contingency plan left by the mystic Emperor. While searching the underground palace's secret chamber, he discovered inside the mystic Emperor's brocade box a blast-proof sound transmission jade. This transmission jade was a safety measure set by the mystic Emperor for himself as a security guarantee. If for 5 consecutive days a specific message was not sent to the transmission jade, the jade would self-destruct. At the same time, it would trigger the family's emergency alert mechanism. When he discovered this, only 2 days remained before the jade would self-destruct. He frantically tried to break the jade's barrier, but was helpless. The contents of the jade were extremely confidential. Without opening the barrier, he couldn't view it. The only thing he could confirm was a note pressed under the box with just 6 words written on it: "The direction of my heart following the faint residual aura of the transmission jade." He traced it all the way to Qinglan Mountain. At that moment, he understood instantly that the mystic Emperor had a lover on Qinglan Mountain. In the past, when the mystic Emperor met with that female immortal in secret, to avoid exposing his whereabouts, he often had him pose as his stand-in. He even, according to that female immortal's spiritual resonance, specifically bonded this 9-tailed spirit fox as a future token of love. He realized that if he took the spirit fox to Qinglan Mountain to find someone, the one willing to marry him would surely be the one the mystic Emperor had been longing for. As long as he killed this woman, even if the transmission jade self-destructed and triggered the family's alert, no one would know that the real mystic Emperor was imprisoned. He can completely eliminate future trouble and secure the throne of the emperor forever. So no matter who married him, he would kill them. What he wanted to kill was always the true love of the Xuan emperor. The senior sister murmured to herself, her face full of lingering fear. I clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms, my voice trembling. So from the very beginning, it was never our problem. He was simply not the real Xuan emperor. In the past 4 lifetimes, we were just stand-ins for the Xuan emperor's beloved, dying in vain. The excruciating pain of dying in previous lives, like maggots gnawing at bones, gnawed at our limbs and bones. In the eyes of the 4 of us, there was only surging anger. I suddenly grabbed the false emperor's collar and demanded harshly, "Where is the real Xuan emperor? Where did you hide him?" The false emperor gave a mocking smile, his face full of madness and triumph. "Dead, of course. Otherwise, why would I be stuck here until now, unable to figure out even a single barrier?" His words were like an ice pick, stabbing deep into my heart. The pain made me stiff, and my eyes suddenly burned. Those happy times spent with the Xuan emperor, all the little things he did for me, were they all just illusions? Just as a tear was about to fall, the senior sister reached out and pressed the back of my neck. The warmth of her palm had a soothing power. She said in a low voice, "Stop crying. He's not worth it." Actually, the Xuan emperor did have feelings for us too. Otherwise, in the first 3 lifetimes, we wouldn't have been lured by these objects, desperately wanting to marry into the underground palace. The senior sister and the 3rd junior sister also pulled out the objects hidden on them. They were also jade pendants engraved with their names. So the Xuan emperor's heart was set not just on me alone. The specialness I thought I had was just one part of his wide net. My eyes darkened. I wiped the moisture from the corner of my eye and curled my lips into a cold smile. "You're right. Crying over a man like that is such a waste. Let's deal with this fake first. Then we'll take his spirit stones and treasures, and go have some fun." The 4 of us exchanged smiles, our eyes filled with shared determination. We clenched our fists, step by step, advanced toward the pale-faced false emperor. Our footsteps in the silent bedchamber made people's hearts tremble. But just then, the false emperor suddenly burst into maniacal laughter, his face twisted with laughter. "You think killing me will let you get away unscathed? The power of the Xuan emperor's clan spans the 3 realms. Once they discover the emperor has been replaced, none of you will escape. Moreover, the real Xuan emperor is not dead at all." We all stopped in our tracks, shock filling our eyes. A flicker of ruthlessness flashed across the false emperor's face. "I've hidden him in a place where no one can find him. Only I know the password. If you kill me, you'll never find him. Besides, the deadline for the message Jade's destruction is approaching. Soon, the Xuan emperor's family will come knocking. When that happens, you'll all be buried with me." The false emperor's words were like a boulder thrown into a deep pool, stirring up a storm in our hearts. The real Xuan emperor is still alive and has been placed under a constraint by him. If he doesn't get the antidote within 7 days, he'll die. The destruction deadline of the message jade is also imminent. The Xuan emperor's family could show up any time. Right now, we don't have much time to hesitate. I signaled to junior sister to reinforce the restraints on Wei Di, make sure he can't break free again. Then we began discussing the next step. We can't stay in the underground palace. It's too dangerous here. Senior sister spoke first, her tone solemn. "Once the Xuan emperor's family arrives, we won't be able to explain ourselves. We'll just be seen as rebels." 3rd sister nodded in agreement. "And this Wei Di is very cunning. Who knows if he has left other contingencies? We must take him away quickly. Find a hidden place and force him to reveal the real Xuan emperor's whereabouts and the antidote." Junior sister took out a yellowed map from her pocket. She spread it on the table. "I obtained this by chance, a map of an ancient secret passage. It said it leads straight to the misty forest outside the underground palace city. That place is chaotic in spiritual energy, full of prohibitions. It's a good place to hide." I looked at the map's intricate routes and nodded. "Let's take the secret passage. There's no time to waste. Let's leave now." To avoid drawing attention, we specifically chose the most secluded side door of the underground palace. All along the way, I used the imperial seal that the Xuan emperor once gave me to temporarily block the spiritual energy detection along the path. Senior sister and the other 2 took turns watching the false emperor. They were alert to any movement around. The false emperor was gagged, only able to make muffled sounds. His eyes were full of venom and resentment, but under the combined pressure of the 4 of us, he was powerless to resist. He could only be dragged along. Soon, we found the entrance to the secret passage. It was a hidden door behind a rockery. It was engraved with intricate ancient runes, exuding a faint oppressive aura. 3rd sister stepped forward to examine it carefully. She frowned slightly. "These runes are tricky. We need to decipher them to open it. And if we're careless, it will trigger an alarm. Leave it to me." 3rd sister took a deep breath. She gathered spiritual energy at her fingertips. Gently, she touched those runes. She has worked with disguise and skeletal alterations for years. She is also quite knowledgeable about ancient prohibitions like these. Then, her fingertips quickly trace through the runes. Spiritual energy flows along the runic paths. The previously dim runes gradually light up, emitting a soft glow. Half an hour later, a soft click is heard, and the secret door slowly opens, revealing a dark and deep tunnel. A damp smell rushes toward them, mingled with a faint musty odor. Let's go, I say, stepping into the tunnel first, a ball of spiritual energy gathering in my hand, lighting the way ahead. Senior sister and little sister escort Whitey follows behind, while junior sister brings up the rear, keeping an eye out behind. The passage is narrow and long, the walls covered with moss, and water droplets occasionally fall from above, making a dripping sound, in the silent tunnel, especially clear. Our group advances carefully, not daring to be careless. But just as we reach the middle of the tunnel, a blinding red light suddenly flashes ahead, and then, a powerful wave of spiritual energy strikes, trapping us tightly. Not good, it's a prohibition. Backlash. Third sister's face turns pale. The prohibition in this tunnel is more complex than I imagined. When we were unlocking the secret door, I accidentally triggered a hidden backlash mechanism. The red light grows stronger, forming a huge light barrier, enveloping us. The barrier keeps shrinking, compressing our spiritual energy, making it hard for us to breathe. False Emperor sees this, a glint of satisfaction in his eyes, and whines, as if mocking us for walking into our own deaths. Everyone, hold steady. I shout loudly, releasing all the spiritual energy in my body, trying to resist the barrier's contraction. Third sister, is there a way to break it? Third sister's forehead is covered in sweat, her fingers quickly forming seals, muttering incantations. This is an ancient trapping and killing prohibition. Once triggered, unless we break the core runes, it will only tighten further, and eventually crush us with spiritual energy. I need time to deduce the runic paths. You guys stall as long as you can. Senior sister and little sister also release their spiritual energy, joining me to resist the barrier's pressure. But the power of this prohibition is truly too strong. Our spiritual energy before it is like a drop in the bucket. The barrier continues to shrink, and our faces grow paler and paler. This won't work. Little sister grits her teeth, and from her bosom, pulls out a dagger glinting with cold light. Let me try. With the mirror-breaking dagger, I'll tear open a gap by force. The mirror-breaking dagger is little sister's life-bound artifact, specially used to break various prohibitions. She holds the dagger, pours spiritual energy into it, and the dagger instantly bursts with dazzling light. She targets a weak spot in the barrier, and stabs fiercely. A tearing sound. The light was torn apart by the dagger. A small crack appeared, but just then, the prohibition suddenly erupted with even greater force. A huge shockwave struck, sending little junior sister flying. She slammed heavily into the tunnel wall, and spat out a mouthful of blood. I cried out, "Little junior sister." I wanted to go check on her, but the pressure of the light suddenly increased, making it impossible for me to move even a step. The false emperor watched this scene, and laughed even more smugly. His eyes were full of schadenfreude. Third junior sister's expression turned extremely grave. The core of this prohibition is fused with the tunnel. Forcibly breaking it will only trigger a worse backlash. I have deduced the approximate location of the core rune. It is right in the center of the light, but we can't get close at all. I watch the continuously shrinking light. My heart was filled with anxiety. Are we going to die here today? The tragic deaths of my previous 4 lives are still vivid. In this life, I finally found the truth. Will it all fall short at the last moment? Just then, the 9-tailed fox in my arms suddenly became restless. It jumped out of the brocade box. A faint golden glow emanated from its body. The golden light and the red light of the glow collided with each other, and actually slowed down the contraction speed of the light a bit. This fox. I had a thought. I remembered that this fox was refined by Mystic Emperor according to my spiritual resonance. Maybe it can resonate with me to fight the prohibition? I tried to channel my spiritual energy into the fox's body. The golden light around the fox instantly became even brighter. It raised its head and let out a clear cry. The golden light transformed into a sword and stabbed toward the center of the light. Now, third junior sister shouted. She gathered all her spiritual energy at her fingertips and aimed at the core rune of the light, firing a beam of spiritual energy. The golden light and the energy beam struck the core of the light simultaneously. A loud boom erupted. The light shook violently. The red light instantly dimmed. Then it shattered with a bang, dissipating into specks of spiritual light in the tunnel. The prohibition was broken. We finally breathed a sigh of relief. We all collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Little junior sister struggled to get up. Her face was still pale, but her eyes held a hint of relief. Fortunately, with the help of the fox, we would have been done for today. I picked up the 9-tailed fox and gently stroked its fur. confer. My heart was full of doubt. Besides being bound to me as master, it seems to possess other hidden powers. Did Mystic Emperor, when refining it, do something else to it? No time to think more. We rested for a while, then continued on with the false emperor in custody. After the backlash from the prohibition, we became more vigilant, not daring to let our guard down. After walking for about 2 hours, a glimmer of light finally appeared ahead. Our hearts leaped with joy. We quickened our pace. We emerged from the tunnel. Before us was a lush, mist-filled forest. Visibility was extremely low. The spiritual energy in the air was chaotic, at times violent, at times faint. It's indeed a good place to hide. This is the Misty Forest. Junior sister, put away the map. It's said that deep in the forest there's an abandoned ancient cave dwelling. We can take shelter there for now. Our group headed deeper into the forest. The Misty Forest lived up to its reputation. The mist grew thicker. The path underfoot became harder to traverse. From time to time, we encountered lurking beast spirits, but their cultivation levels weren't high. With the combined strength of the 4 of us, they were easily dealt with. Just as we were about to reach the ancient cave, Whitey suddenly struggled violently. His eyes were full of terror. He let out muffled cries, as if he saw something terrifying. We looked around warily, but found nothing. What's wrong with him? Junior sister frowned, asked in confusion. I stared at Whitey. A hint of doubt crossed my mind. Could there be something in the misty forest that he fears? Just then, the surrounding mist suddenly grew even denser. A chilling aura crept in. It sent a chill through us. A low growl came from afar. It seemed some powerful creature was approaching. Whitey's struggles intensified. His face was as pale as paper. His eyes were filled with despair. My heart sank. Oh no, in this misty forest, there might be something more dangerous than we imagined. We had just escaped the crisis in the underground palace, and now we were in a new danger. The chilling aura grew stronger. The growling in the distance drew nearer, carrying a fearsome pressure. The 4 of us exchanged glances, all seeing the gravity in each other's eyes. Let's get into the cave first. I made a quick decision. I led everyone to quicken their pace. We ran toward the ancient cave not far away. The cave was hidden behind a huge rock. The entrance was covered with thick vines. It looked long abandoned. Third sister stepped forward and slashed the vines, revealing the pitch-black entrance. We pushed Whitey along and quickly entered the cave. Senior sister cast a barrier behind us to temporarily block the aura from outside. The cave was pitch black. It was filled with a faint dusty smell. I gathered my spiritual energy again, lighting up the surroundings. This was a modestly sized cave dwelling. The furnishings inside were simple, just a few worn stone tables and chairs. The walls were carved with faintly visible runes. It seemed this place had indeed been uninhabited for a long time. We're safe for now. Junior sister breathed a sigh of relief, walked over to Whitey, and tore off the cloth from his mouth. Whitey gasped for air, a trace of fear still lingering in his eyes. He looked around the cave, seeming to relax a bit, but soon, he resumed his former arrogance. You think hiding here is safe? That beast in the misty forest is not something you can handle. Deep in the misty forest lives an ancient beast, the Xuanmochilin. It feeds on spiritual energy, is ferocious, and has unfathomable cultivation. Back then, the Xuan Emperor's clan tried to subdue it, but suffered heavy losses. They could only seal it deep in the forest. Now the seal is weakening, and it has long broken free, roaming the forest. This Xuanmochilin has a strong sensitivity to the bloodline of the Xuan Emperor's clan. As soon as it catches the scent of blood, it will chase relentlessly. Having me with you is like carrying a beacon. It will find us soon. With a crack, the barrier shattered. A powerful pressure flooded the cave. It made it hard for us to breathe. Then, a massive Keelan appeared at the cave entrance. It lunged at Wei Di, fast as lightning. Just as the Xuanmochilin's claws were about to grab Wei Di, the nine-tailed fox in my arms started stirring again, glowing with dazzling golden light. A golden barrier shielded Wei Di. With a thunderous roar, the Xuanmochilin's claws hit the golden barrier and were repelled. It stared at the nine-tailed fox in surprise, a flicker of confusion in its eyes. I was amazed. The power of this nine-tailed fox seemed to exceed my expectations. Not only could it break ancient seals, but also withstand the Xuanmochilin's attacks. Could it really be hiding some secret? The Xuanmochilin was clearly enraged. It lunged at Wei Di again, spitting black flames from its mouth, carrying an aura of destruction. We joined forces to resist. I shouted and charged at the Xuanmochilin. Senior sister, third junior sister, and little junior sister all struck. 4 different types of spiritual energy intertwined, forming a powerful attack and blasted toward the Xuanmochilin. With a boom, the attack collided with the black flames, releasing a huge energy wave. Third junior sister, can you shield the bloodline aura? I asked loudly. Third junior sister paused, then nodded. I can try, but I need some time, and it will only last a moment. Good. Get to it, I said. We'll buy you time. Senior sister and little junior sister understood and intensified their attacks, keeping the Xuan Mochilin occupied. Third junior sister quickly formed hand seals, condensing a pale purple spiritual energy at her fingertips, and sent it flying toward Wei Di. The pale purple spiritual energy enveloped Wei Di. The bloodline aura on him gradually faded. The Xuan Mochilin seemed to sense something, and its attacks became more frenzied, trying to break through our blockade, to catch Wei Di. The four of us gave it our all, barely holding off the Xuan Mochilin's attacks. Sweat dripped from third junior sister's forehead, her face growing paler. Finally, she shouted, "Done." The bloodline aura on his body completely disappeared. Xuan Mochilin lost its target. It became a bit confused. He looked around inside the cave. The murderous intent in its eyes gradually weakened. "Let's go now," I shouted loudly. Leading everyone, ran toward another exit of the cave. This exit was one we discovered while exploring the cave earlier. It was narrow, but could lead to another direction in the forest. Xuan Mochilin realized what was happening. It chased after us, but because it lost the guidance of the bloodline aura, its speed slowed down a lot. We ran at full speed. Finally, we escaped Xuan Mochilin's pursuit and arrived at another safe area in the forest. We collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. The wounds on our bodies ached sharply. After escaping Xuan Mochilin's pursuit, in the forest, we found a secluded cave to rest temporarily, but just then, the spirit fox suddenly opened its eyes. A strange light flashed in its eyes. It jumped out of my arms and ran deep into the cave. My heart stirred. I quickly followed. Senior sister and the other two saw this, and also got up. They brought the false emperor and followed. In this cave, there was actually such a hidden secret chamber. The chamber was not large, with only a stone platform inside. On the platform was an ancient brocade box. The spirit fox jumped onto the platform and gently opened the lid of the box with its paw. The box opened, revealing a translucent jade talisman and a yellowed note. I picked up the jade talisman, familiar spiritual power. It was the aura of Emperor Xuan's spiritual power. I then picked up the note. It was Emperor Xuan's handwriting. The note said, "If you gently open this, my substitute has rebelled and is in danger. This jade talisman is formed from my lifebound spiritual power. It can help you withstand 3 fatal attacks. It can guide you to the true entrance of Xuanbing Jade." The spirit fox was refined by me using my own blood essence and primordial spiritual energy. It contains part of my divine consciousness. At critical moments, it can protect you. Xuanbing Jade is extremely dangerous. Remember, do not proceed recklessly. The spiritual herb Ice Fire Lotus needed for the Xuanyuan pill is in the extreme cold region, under the 10,000-year glacier. Unable to leave it inside the jade, I left the scent mark of the spiritual herb. Take care. Wait for my return. After reading the note, my eyes instantly welled up. Senior sister and the other two also came closer. After reading the contents of the note, complicated expressions appeared on their faces. Third junior sister said, "It seems we all misunderstood him before. He is not a promiscuous person." I wiped away my tears. No matter how dangerous the road ahead, I must rescue him. The false emperor's face turned pale. He collapsed on the ground, his eyes full of despair. He knew that his plot had been completely exposed. There was no chance of recovery. I took out the jade talisman. On the talisman, a gentle light immediately shimmered, pointing deep into the glacier. The fire ice lotus should be in that direction. The glacier ahead began to shake violently, and large chunks of ice rolled down from the peak, triggering a massive avalanche. We quickly ran toward an ice cave nearby. The avalanche lasted about half an hour before it gradually subsided. We came out of the ice cave, and the scene before us had changed beyond recognition. Our previous route was blocked. The youngest junior sister said dejectedly, "What do we do now?" I took out the jade talisman. The light on the talisman still pointed deep into the glacier. "It's okay. The talisman is still guiding us." The eldest senior sister nodded and said, "Good. As long as we don't give up, we will definitely find the fire ice lotus." We set off again. This time we were more cautious, avoiding those areas prone to avalanches. We carefully moved deeper into the glacier. After walking for about 3 more days, the light on the talisman grew stronger and stronger. We knew the fire ice lotus was nearby. Just then, we heard the sound of a fight ahead. Our hearts stirred, and we quickly ran toward the direction of the sounds. By a frozen lake ahead, several cultivators were besieging a giant ice bear, and on a floating chunk of ice in the middle of the lake grew a delicate, vibrant lotus. Its petals were half ice blue and half fiery red, exactly the fire ice lotus we were looking for. These people have some nerve, daring to try and snatch the fire ice lotus. The youngest junior sister yelled angrily and was about to charge forward, but I stopped her. I said calmly, "Hold on. Let's see what's going on first. These people are not weak, and they don't mean well. We can't act rashly." The eldest senior sister nodded in agreement. "Right. The fire ice lotus is an ancient spiritual herb, worth a fortune. It's normal that it attracts covetous eyes. Our goal is to get the fire ice lotus, not to fight these people head on. When they've both worn each other out, we'll make our move and reap the benefits." The ice bear let out a piercing roar and fell onto the ice, never moving again. Seeing this, those cultivators smiled smugly and walked toward the floating ice in the middle of the lake. The Icefire Lotus belongs to Blackwind Valley now. The lead cultivator, his eyes full of greed. Just as they were about to step onto the ice and pick the Icefire Lotus, I suddenly shouted, "Now!" The four of us charged out at once, attacking those cultivators. Caught off guard, they were completely unprepared. Though there were many of them, under our combined assault, they grew exhausted, retreating step by step. Seeing the situation turn bad, the lead cultivator pulled out a black pill and swallowed it. Once the pill went down, his aura surged instantly. A crazed look filled his eyes. I shouted, gathering all my spiritual power into my immortal energy. I stabbed at the vital point of the lead cultivator. With a squelch, the immortal energy pierced his chest, and he fell to the ground, dead on the spot. The other Blackwind Valley cultivators, seeing their leader dead, fled in all directions. I walked to the floating ice in the center of the lake, carefully picked the Icefire Lotus. The Icefire Lotus in hand, it felt cool yet with a hint of warmth, radiating powerful spiritual energy. Finally got the Icefire Lotus. My little junior sister said excitedly. I placed the Icefire Lotus into a special jade box, keeping it safe. The false emperor looked at the jade box in our hands, a glint of greed in his eyes. He lunged for the jade box. The false emperor was extremely fast, reaching me in an instant. He reached out to snatch the jade box from me. Startled, I quickly clutched the box to my chest, sidestepping his attack. "You're asking for it," I roared, and struck the false emperor's chest with my palm. The false emperor spat blood, sent flying by my blow. He crashed heavily to the ground. His eyes burned with murderous intent. With the ancient herb, I can refine the Xuanyuan pill, gain the bloodline power of the Xuan Emperor family, and become the true ruler of the three realms. After saying that, the false emperor lunged at us again. "Everyone, attack! Cripple his cultivation!" Senior sister shouted, launching the first strike. The four of us joined forces and unleashed a fierce assault on the false emperor. With a swoosh, third junior sister's spell hit the false emperor's dantian. His dantian shattered instantly, his cultivation completely destroyed. The false emperor fell to the ground, unable to move. Despair and unwillingness filled his eyes. "You think you can still turn this around?" I said coldly, looking at him. "From the moment you rebelled, today's outcome was sealed." We tied him up again. We found a hidden valley, ready to refine the Xuanyuan pill. Now we needed to take from him a drop of his vital blood. The false emperor trembled with fear. He kept begging, "Please, don't kill me. I beg you, I don't want to die yet." "Don't worry, we won't kill you," I said. "We only need a drop of your vital blood to refine the Xuanyuan pill. Once we rescue Emperor Xuan, we'll deal with you then." With that, I took out a dagger and cut the false emperor's fingertip. A drop of vital blood. I put the ancient spirit herbs, the false emperor's vital blood, and some auxiliary ingredients into the Qiankun furnace, and began refining the Xuanyuan pill. Senior sister and the other two were nearby, guarding me. Time passed. The spiritual energy in the valley grew denser. The furnace began to emit a dazzling light. Suddenly, a violent tremor came from the furnace. A powerful wave of energy surged out, almost knocking me away. Shit. The power of the ingredients is out of control. I was alarmed. I quickly increased my spiritual power output, trying to stabilize the energy in the furnace. Senior sister and the others also sensed something was wrong. They all poured in more spiritual power, helping me stabilize the furnace. With the four of us working together, the energy fluctuations in the furnace gradually calmed down. The Xuanyuan pill is almost ready. With a loud bang, the lid of the furnace was blown off. A crystal-clear pill flew out of the furnace, radiating a strong spiritual energy. It was the Xuanyuan pill. We were overjoyed. We quickly caught the Xuanyuan pill and put it into a jade bottle. We successfully refined the Xuanyuan pill. "Great, we finally made the Xuanyuan pill," little junior sister said excitedly. After over 10 days of travel, we finally arrived at Xuan Ice Jade. Before us was a giant iceberg. The iceberg was covered in powerful restrictions, radiating an oppressive aura. The entrance to Xuan Ice Jade was hidden at the base of the iceberg, covered by a thick layer of ice. I took out the jade talisman. Its light pointed downward through the ice. The four of us gathered our spiritual power, and following the method recorded in the talisman, attacked the restrictions beneath the ice. We attacked. Finally, the restrictions were broken. Beneath the ice, a dark entrance was revealed. A biting cold wind rushed out from the entrance, making us shiver. Before us was a huge ice prison. The walls of the prison were covered in powerful restrictions. Inside, a familiar figure was imprisoned. It was the real Emperor Xuan. Emperor Xuan was chained stand in the center of the ice prison. His body was covered in wounds, his breathing faint, his face pale as paper. Emperor Xuan, we're here to save you, I said, my eyes full of pain. I quickly walked to Emperor Xuan's side, took out a Xuanyuan pill and fed it into his mouth. The pill dissolved instantly in his mouth. A surge of powerful spiritual energy rushed into Emperor Xuan's body. Emperor Xuan's complexion gradually became rosy. His breathing became much steadier. He channeled the spiritual energy inside him, breaking free from the iron chains. Thank you all. Emperor Xuan looked at us, his eyes full of gratitude. If it weren't for you all, I would have surely lost my life. As long as you're safe, Emperor Xuan, I said. The stone finally lifted from my heart. Senior sister and the other two came forward and bowed to Emperor Xuan. Greetings, Your Majesty. Emperor Xuan nodded, his gaze falling on Wei Di. A cold, murderous intent flickered in his eyes. You traitor, how dare you betray me and scheme to usurp my position? Today, I will tear you limb from limb. The false emperor collapsed in terror, kowtowing and begging for mercy. Your Majesty, spare me. I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance to reform. Emperor Xuan raised his hand and struck him on the head. The false emperor let out a shriek and instantly died. His body turned to ashes and dissipated in the air. Having dealt with the false emperor, Emperor Xuan looked at us, a gentle smile spreading across his face. You've worked hard these past days. Thank you for your help. You flatter us, Your Majesty. It was our duty. Ruowei, you've endured so much. I won't let you fall into danger ever again. Emperor Xuan stood in the great hall of the underground palace, receiving the homage of all the immortals. In the following days, Emperor Xuan began to reorganize the order of the three realms. He abolished all the unjust decrees issued during the false emperor's reign, appointed the worthy, and punished the corrupt. At the same time, he dispatched troops to quell the wars across the three realms, pacifying the people, and gradually restoring the peace and stability of the past. The four of us stayed by Emperor Xuan's side, assisting him in governing the three realms. Senior sister, with her outstanding management skills, was appointed by Emperor Xuan as the law enforcement elder of the three realms, responsible for maintaining legal order. Third junior sister was appointed as the head of the Spirit Herb Pavilion, in charge of the spirit herb resources of the three realms. Little junior sister was appointed as the commander of the secret intelligence camp, responsible for gathering intelligence across the three realms. As for me, Emperor Xuan conferred on me the title of Empress, accompanying him by his side, assisting him in handling court affairs. As days passed, the three realms gradually regained their former prosperity. We four completely let go of past grudges, becoming true sisters, supporting each other, and jointly guarding the peace of the three realms.